Hi, I'm Melissa Ushakov from the Access team, and I'm going to share with you some of the exciting updates that we have coming in our 13.11 release. The first one is this framework that we're building around cascading settings. So today, there's inconsistent logic between how the relationship between settings in a group and that of its subgroups and projects. Some of the settings are inherited down the hierarchy, others are not. So it's possible that for particular settings, you set a value in the top level group. Users' expectations, we found, is that that value is propagated down, and there's an easy way to propagate that value down, and today there's not. So the Access team has been working on a framework to enable admins to toggle a setting in a group or subgroup and lock that value for subgroups and projects below that in the hierarchy. So that's a really exciting change for customers that have security and regulatory needs, that they're able to basically set a configuration that they want all their subgroups and projects to follow. Like I said, the Access team has been building a framework around this, and we've picked one setting to start with, and that is delayed project deletion. So this setting is currently available at the group level, but it's not inherited to subgroups or projects, which has been a source of confusion to customers, and it's also tedious to basically go through every subgroup and make sure they have this enabled. So what you see here is a very simple screenshot. So we've kept it simple for now on the front end, but we built this framework on the back end where we're now going to be able to go through and move every setting at the group level to this new framework. And then we'll do some more interesting things with the front end. But what this allows you to do is to check this box. So if you want all projects to be delayed project deletion in your whole hierarchy, and then you can enforce the setting on all your subgroups and projects. So basically, the only place where this can be togged on and off is at this top group level or subgroup. So if you're interested in hearing more about this, there's this epic here that is a lot more in detail explanation. So feel free to click this. I'll put the link for this issue in the description. The other exciting changes that we're making are around performance. So we recently found for project authorizations, there's some workers that basically go through and refresh permissions for users every time there's a change that may affect them. We cache them in a table called project authorizations. And there's workers that basically go through and refresh that table whenever there's any changes to a user's permissions. And we actually found that that worker is putting quite a heavy load on the GitLab.com database. And to be exact, 38% of the rows returned today on GitLab.com are related to this user. So that's obviously not great, right? So we're going through and making some tweaks to the logic and some new ways of this worker being optimized. The first one is this, where we're working with the infra team. They've actually built a replica of some production tables, and we're gonna use them for this job to basically read from the replica instead of the live table, so that there's performance optimizations for not hurting basically the live permissions table when we're basically getting current permissions for to use as part of this job. So we expect this will have a really good performance boost. The other thing that we're doing, like I said, is looking at the logic and tweaking basically when we run certain jobs. So we have a job that's kind of like a safety net that goes through and rechecks everything just to make sure we haven't missed any updates. But we found that actually our logic and our jobs to refresh permissions have a really good success rate. So we're gonna investigate whether we need the secondary job that goes through and rechecks all the permissions on a regular basis. So we expect that, not having to run this secondary check will also give us really good performance boost. Lastly, this has been a change that's been in the works for a while now, which is we have an example here of a hierarchy for groups. So as you may know, right, groups can be nested up to 25 level deep. So you can build some pretty complex structures. So for groups, in several places throughout the apps, right, as we're checking permissions, we have to go through and step through the hierarchy of a group to see what permissions they should or should not have to specific objects, and also when we're getting just the list of groups, and several places through the app, like I said. And these, as we're stepping to find permissions right now, that's recursive, which is very expensive, right? So we're, for example, if you're in the access group, we're stepping through and say, okay, what's access's parent, what's manage's parent, what's backend's parent. And that's pretty expensive as far as database performance. So what the engineering team has been working on is basically on the access entry, right, saving its path. So in that way, you don't do a lookup, you just know exactly which groups it's related to, and you can pull permissions more quickly. So this change should be rolling out this milestone. We're going to do some testing on the GitLab.com groups and do a slow rollout because it is a pretty big change. But we expect that this will give us a really good performance boost throughout the app, right? Because there are many, many places where we check for these permissions. So that's it for 13.11. I'm really excited specifically about the performance changes. And one of the really nice things has been that we're working closely with the infra team. So we have some nice graphs that we're going to be keeping an eye on as we roll out these changes, so we can see if these changes made an impact, how big of an impact they made, and then continue to iterate to boost the performance of GitLab.com. So I'll put a link to the planning issue and these issues that I talked about here in this video description. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.